What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Essential Scares podcast, the only show that dares to ask the question, is it essential? I'm your host, Alan, and I'm joined today by Bobby.
Hello!
I love that.
Thanks.
Bobby, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. When the Corbin is away, the Bobby comes out.
Oh, no. The less Corbin there is on the show, the more off the rails is the show. It's just the way that it has to be.
There's a movie. We watched a movie. We will be reviewing it and giving an essential a scare score of essentiality. But that's about it.
Exactly.
In the Corbinless episodes, yeah.
Now, dear listeners, you may be asking yourself, what the hell did they watch if Corbin's not here? Because, here's the thing, all right?
We forgot about it last week, yeah.
Absolutely. We totally forgot.
Yeah.
And we were not going to sit here and watch Dream Warriors without Corbin, because I've never seen it, but every single person I've ever heard talk about loves it. So we decided to fill in this week with another Wes Craven classic that you certainly don't remember, Shocker. So before we get into the discussion, though, Bobby got a spoiler warning for us.
I do. This will be serve as your first one and only spoiler warning for the movie and C-tier Spider-Man villain, Shocker. If you do not want this movie spoiled for you, please skip the time code provided in our show notes or description for our essential spoiler-free discussion. I thought it was only fitting, see last week's episode for proof, of unpreparedness that I did neither wrote nor attempted a spoiler warning this week. Alan.
How to properly prepare the audience for what this film was that we experienced.
Fucking badass.
So Shocker. Shocker's got about 4 storylines all going on at the same time with at least two different movies. So we have a 40-minute cold opening that gives us the lore that you didn't ask for, showing how the Shocker killer became the Shocker killer. He starts off this film already having a body count of 5 families or so. And all we really know is there's a man murdering people and people are scared. We follow Jonathan, a hunky college tight end. Jonathan Parker, who is just trying to live his life. You know, he's an orphan. It's rough out there for an orphan. And he's got a girlfriend and she's scared of the killer. And just by happenstance, for whatever reason, Jonathan has the power to dream himself into places, physically interact with the real world, and find this killer out of the blue. Eventually, killer's captured, gets the electric chair.
Who's the killer again?
What is his name?
Horace Pinker, also known as L.T. Skinner, and Sam and Dean Winchester's grandpa, played by Mitch Pileggi. Yeah.
Did not know that. But now that you say that, 100%. Yeah, oh my God. Huh.
Yeah.
Didn't put 1 and 2 together.
No, the man's a very famous B actor. It's great.
Well, after Horace Pinker does a deal with a demonic force of the television, he
got it, baby.
When given the electric chair, gains this ability to possess people. So now it's a possession movie, and let's just open it from there. This film is fucking wild.
Holy shit! I forgot. There's I love this movie. You just reminded me that a big chunk of this movie is a possession plot.
Yep, 100%.
Like a big chunk of this movie, like
40 minutes of it.
So this movie is almost very neatly broken into 3 separate 40-minute plots.
Yep.
The first plot is a procedural, psychic serial killer drama. Yep. Right, that is scary, and there's enough blood and gore to make you get freaked out.
Plenty of blood and guts in that one,
and there's some scary bits in that. The second bit is a possession story that has there's a small 5-minute window that explains how he can now possess people, but not really. And then finally, there's a third bit after the possession story reaches its natural conclusion on the top of a radio tower.
Of course,
where Horace Pinker now has the ability to go into the TV world.
Yep, and invade programs and also the real world in those programs
where he can kill people. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
So I want to just skip to the very last one real quick because This movie made me laugh quite a few times. Specifically, one of them is near the end. They're like a news anchor who's like, and now there's recently reports of Horace Pinker being seen on television. And at that moment, Horace Pinker and Jonathan come crashing into
Oh my god.
the TV. But it's the TV, but they would have to be there in real life because the news anchor's interacting.
Oh,
It's
amazing.
there's
amazing.
a lot of there's so many moments where this film just decides we're not going to explain a goddamn thing. Figure it out, viewer.
In this world, there is a non-zero chance that Horace Pinker, Mitch Pileggi, is involved in the Hindenburg disaster. Right? Like, it's amazing. It's amazing.
Think about that. World War II. He caused World War II.
Now I was no. He was just involved in World War II. Yeah,
no, it's his fault. He did it.
No, but
he shot Franz Ferdinand. I know that's
dude,
the wrong war.
It's amazing. It's yeah. That's World War I, big guy. It's amazing. It is like fuck, dude. Okay, and this movie, right? This movie is full of like I think simultaneously both. Right, this is a horror comedy. I think.
Oh,
like,
distinctly, absolutely.
Yeah. Because it starts out very strictly horror, and then it slowly ramps up the comedy till that by the time you get to the end, it's like just so off the walls goofy, right?
You could have that whole sequence with the TV stuff. You could just have the Benny Hill theme playing on in the background, and it would just fit.
But instead, they have 80s thrash metal.
It works too, though.
But no, again. But there's a point in this movie where it's like directly in the middle, where Horace Pinker, firmly in his possession phase, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's in the possession period of his art.
Possession arc, yes.
Yeah, his possession arc, where he possesses a small child.
It's so good.
And the small child decides to get on construction equipment. And then, in the voice of a little girl, goes, "Come on, fucking work!" Like, and just like this is amazing. It's amazing.
The other
little
thing too,
kids swearing will never not be funny. It'll never not be funny. Yeah,
it's so not supposed to happen that when it does, it's like, well, this is just great. This is everything I want. It's perfect.
Oh wait, we forgot how Jonathan Parker, which is very close to Horace Pinker, which is very
important.
Very important. Yeah. How he got his powers.
How?
He got double concussed.
Oh, that's how he gets his powers?
I think that's the implication. He gets He gets tackled because he's a football player, and then wins, and then like gets like a touchdown, and then runs directly into the field goal post for no reason.
He slams in that post hard.
And then cannot remember his girlfriend, who his name is Allison. I had to look.
That's right.
Yeah.
And they've been dating for 7 months.
Yeah.
Or some shit like that, she says. I don't remember.
And they haven't been fucking, but she does bathe with the door open, which implies that they've absolutely been fucking.
Like, of course. On a water... They have a waterbed.
They have a waterbed.
Don't.
Yeah.
Come on. So let's break some things down here.
Okay, break something else.
This film explains very little, and I think that's actually for the better of this film in general. Because like a lot of times you'll watch something like this, and then they just blatantly don't explain shit. But it kind of works here because why are you even going to attempt to rationalize and explain like anything in this film? It works to just go, what the fuck ever. It's a purely ridiculous film.
Yeah,
enjoy.
Well, I think that's kind of intentional, where it's making fun of like bad movies, right, of the era. Where it's a horror comedy, right, and so it's like the whole point is there's no rules.
Yeah,
right, because like I could very easily see Shocker being a response. Like now that I'm thinking about this. This just entered my head now. This movie is absolutely meant to be a satire of how the Nightmare on Elm Street movies went.
Oh, absolutely.
Think about it, right? It gets more and more fucking wacky and weird to the point of to like absurdity.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, and I mean, like, how different is it, the idea of someone who can kill you in your dream versus someone who can kill you through the TV?
TV,
Like,
yeah.
It's
Well,
not that much more far-fetched, really.
And the first 40 minutes is incredibly compelling. It's very interesting, right? Horace Pinker is an interesting villain, right? Like, he's like...
Just because he has this gravitas to him. Anytime he's on the screen, you don't know what the hell he's going to say.
That's Mitch Pileggi, baby. Yeah.
Yeah. He pulls you in, and he has a lot of just great one-liners of just pure nonsense. Like, dude bites a guy's fingers off and says, finger licking good. But my delivery is not his delivery.
Oh, yeah.
It's so just hammed up in the best way.
Think Agent Skinner, right?
Yeah.
Now cast him in the role of a serial killer.
Yeah.
Done, right? Yeah. You know that actor is good. He was interesting. He's got the grit and like right? Yeah. Amazing. Yeah. I watched this movie date of recording. I fully admit that. Right? So I haven't sat with this movie a lot, but I think I like this movie more now that I've realized that has to be Wes Craven being like, you ruined my baby. You ruined A Nightmare on Elm Street. This is look what you've done. Right now, you have to sit through an almost 2-hour movie where it progressively gets more and more weird, bad, and goofy. Right? Like we've had to do 40 years at this point.
Yeah.
When
did Shocker come out?
89.
Oh, okay. So yeah, it's near the tail. That's near the end of. They've already jumped the shark pretty hard in Nightmare at that point, right?
Yeah, I want to say here. We'll do some live
research.
Elm Street 87 was Dream Warriors. Dream Master is 88. Dream Child is 89. So yeah. And then Final Nightmare is 91, and the New Nightmare is 94.
Gotcha.
So yeah. The shark has been jumped, and I don't know if Wes Craven really liked Dream Warriors, despite we'll hear our opinions on that next week, dear listener. Holy fuck though, like this movie is just in like the tonal shift, man.
It's so all over the place.
I've got whiplash. And it's amazing, but I've got whiplash. It's so weird.
We've said and often before, like, sometimes movies feel like fever dreams. I don't know that we've ever had one that really accurately describes it better than this so far. Because it's just like, Jonathan and his adopted father have their, his daughter, son, brother, sister, and wife all get murdered in like the first 10 minutes of the film.
It's always weird. It's always weird when a character is named Bobby, because they always make it Bobby because I think everybody knows a Bobby that's great, and as the one Bobby, everybody knows who's shit. It's weird. It's weird that they go, Bobby's the good all American, and then all of a sudden it's like me. Nope, not me. I'm a piece of shit. But
hey man, at least you have characters and not. You know who I've got? I've got Al from Toy Story 2, the creep. That's all I got. That's it.
Yeah. Alan is a pedophile name. You're right. Yeah.
Thanks for that.
Not you. Just
my
your name.
namesake.
Just your name.
Got it.
This is why it's a Corbinless episode.
Exactly. But it's just, this movie is just pure hysteria. Wild. It takes you all over the place. It just keeps.
There's a ghost girlfriend subplot. There's a ghost. Listen. We're talking
multiple
about this
times too.
Yeah, she shows
in both sections of all 3 sections of the film. You have ghost girlfriend show up.
What? All 3. She shows up in the beginning.
Yep.
She shows up in the middle and at the end.
Yeah, she blasts him with her
that's the middle.
Beam.
That's the middle.
That is the middle. You're right.
The last one is when she basically, all of the bodies from the second one, they're like, you can still do it. And she's like, yeah, I'll never leave you ever again. Like, it's so, like, dude, I am so stuck on this being a rip up, like, because think about it, right? she's spooky, she's scary, she's awful in the first one. But by the middle section, she's already been tamed down and she's like a weird ghost power. And by like the end, they're trying to put a bow on this like through line of movies. Like, this movie might be genius and nobody got it. This movie might just be genius, but it might also be Wes Craven just being kind of a dick about A Nightmare on Elm Street.
I don't know which one of those I like more. The idea of him like satirizing his own material. I don't know. I can't separate that at all. I think that has to be put in there in some capacity.
It's gotta be, right?
Yeah.
Like, cause like you look at it, like just cause like Wes Craven's a good director. Like nobody will ever question that Wes Craven is a really, really good director. So these tonal shifts have to be intentional, right? The degrading in quality has to be intentional. Right, like all of that, and like I said, like there are parts of this where like it's showing directly, like it goes like in the third act where it's like really interesting, where he does like he plays with like VHS quality stuff, right? And I said that felt intentional, but now it even feels even more intentional, right? And the only way we were ever going to full disclosure, I at the end of last week's episode typed into Google top 10 Nightmare on Elm Street ripoffs, and we're like, oh, this one's also written by Wes Craven. And I was not expecting my mind to be fucking blown by a movie called Shocker, right?
Yeah.
And yet, here I am. Like, I really feel there's something to this. And we'll never know for sure.
Yeah.
Right? Unless Wes Craven said. Right? But I doubt he ever did. But
yeah.
Like,
you know, near the tail end of this film too, it kind of tries to bring the horror back a fair bit. In that third act, because like there's one point where Jonathan like sits down in his chair, and then the chair, fucking Horace Pinker possesses the electric chair.
So stupid.
And like he becomes and like hugs him. The chair has eyes, and then like at one point it's like half Horace, half chair.
Yeah.
It's just goofy. So goofy. But like there's just this moment where it's like a chair with eyes, and I don't know why, but that got under my skin real bad. I was like, this
that scared you?
I thought
that made me giggle.
It was like it's that laugh you make when you're uncomfortable.
Yeah,
like that's what it was like. It was like,
no, that's fair.
I don't like this. I don't like this at all.
I don't know, man. This movie is a slasher, right?
Yeah, distinctly, absolutely.
Yeah, and it's got those goofy slasher elements like that, right? Like.
Or like a seasoned police officer checking the pulse of a man who's had 12 gallons of blood flow out of him.
Or when Pinker bites the dude's lip and it extends for
my god, yes.
And it's so
ridiculous.
It's so gross, right? Or again, I've alluded to it several times, but like now we have to explain, right? So the first 40 minutes of this movie, the first third of this movie is very grounded. And I was like, holy shit, this is like good. Like this is like really good. And they catch him, and there's like it kind of ends. It kind of feels like a close, right? Where it's like, yeah, they'll give him the chair for this for sure. And then they add this like, well, I want to see him go to the chair, right? Mm-hmm. And so they skip. They do a month or two time skip, or however long it takes time skip. And Horace Pinker's last wish was to have a TV put into his room, right? Yep. And they go, what's going on? And he's got somehow he's got jumper cables, and he's got jumper cables and a bunch of like satanic memorabilia all hanging
candles.
Out. Yeah, candles and shit like that. Yeah. And he's like shocking himself and telling the TV to give him power. And the TV blows a static mouth that goes, you got it, baby. That's the last we hear about it. That's the end. That's the end of that. Right? We don't know anything else, right? But apparently he got weird electric powers. We don't know about this. And then they go and they go to put him in the electric chair. But he said, he first tells our protagonist Jonathan that actually I'm your dad. You shot me in the leg.
Hence my limp.
Yeah, hence why I've got a limp. But I'm your dad, by the way. Okay, whatever. Right.
They also, now that I'm thinking about it, they never like come right out and say that, because like the dad, his adopted dad, just immediately goes, "Oh, he's just crazy. He doesn't know what he's talking about." They don't ever talk about it again.
No, he gives a very, very plausible answer. No, the guy was just trying to get under your skin before we fucking fried him because you're the guy who caught him. Yeah. And then he gets electrocuted in the electric chair. It's kind of mediocre, admittedly.
Yeah, it's not
but it turns out that he doesn't die right away, and then he runs away. And then melts into the ground, but then possesses the doctor who was on staff to make sure he was dead. Mm-hmm. And then the whole possession angle happens. Yeah. And the possession angle is just full of, there's like a whole 15-minute sequence of Jonathan running away from Horace in different bodies. And like 10 of those minutes is one guy just firing at him with like
just shooting him
like
at
a
him
lot,
constantly.
A lot, yeah.
It's that. So when I think about this film,
some legitimately creepy and scary moments during this third of the film, I want to say. But go ahead, finish your point. Yeah.
See, this I think is by far my least favorite portion of the film, like by a noticeable margin, because I think the first bit we've got a more distinct, like, this is a slasher.
Yeah, it's a really good startup for like a slasher that ultimately probably would have been forgotten.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, I think the angle at which this movie chooses to take definitely makes it more memorable outright, just by default. But like, there's just these chase sequences that are like, there's 2 or 3 of them in this sequence. It's just, Jonathan is just running so many times. He's running away from the cop. He's running away from a little girl. He's running away from it definitely feels like it's
running back. They actually make a whole point of it. It's hilarious.
It is kind of funny that they for once go, yeah, this guy actually does have the stamina to legitimately just keep running.
He's a running back.
They even like outright say it. Like the coach is like, well, you could always run away from anybody. Like they acknowledge it within their own film.
Amazing.
Yeah, we know he can get away. It's
amazing.
Maybe this movie is smarter than I gave it credit for on first watch.
That's what I'm saying. This movie, like all of the shit that like everyone's like, why is this so bad? I think is on purpose.
It might be. I'm coming around on it, Bobby. The score I have written down is probably not going to be the score I say.
I don't know if I can rate this high, but like, man, this is like, this movie is feeling more and more genius. I don't know if I'm talking myself into it. I don't know if I'm biased for Wes Craven, or this is just
certainly to some
a
degree.
Shockingly smart movie.
But like, yeah, that middle bit does. That's, I think, the part of, for me, that does drag the most, just because it really is just a lot of chase sequences.
But a kid says the fuck word in it.
The kid does say the fuck word, and it is very. Also, her having to like drag her leg along too, hilarious. Works every time. And
then her mom's like, no, and then like the baby kicks Jonathan in the balls. Oh my god, dude, so good.
Did you like when Shocker plugged into the wall to like recharge his batteries?
Yeah. But that's like probably the scariest bit in the movie. Where Coach and Pac-Man are dead. Pac-Man, by the way, played by Sam Raimi's brother, in a part where, again, Ted Raimi is an underrated funny actor. I mean that. And zero lines in this movie. Like, nothing. He says absolutely nothing. But is somehow seen as an important character. He reminds me of, what's his face? Shaggy in Ghoulies 3.
Okay. Yeah.
Where like, I can't tell if it's because I know who the actor is that I think he should be more important than he is, or that he actually is important. Like,
interesting.
Yeah.
What a weird film this was.
It's wild. And we haven't even talked about the gore and the effects, both good and bad.
Let's get to that before we move on with the show. Let's talk about the gore.
I really think this can be even with just you and I, this can be a full episode. This is not going to be the Bobby and Alan do short episodes because we don't have Corbin to rein us in.
Yeah, no. So this movie, it did better with gore than I expected it to.
The gore's really good.
I did not expect it to actually have much, if any, effects. The one that I want to shout out off the bat is when the coach scene shows up and he just stabs his hand real quick. I'm sitting here watching this and I was like, what the it's one of those kinds of bits in a movie where they do something so quick, so fast, and you just have to you process for a second because you're like, what just occurred here?
Oh yeah.
And it's gross.
Yeah.
It works. He just right through his hand. And he looks at it and he's like, "Oh God!" And then he just stabs himself in the excellent.
The three fingers being broken, but fully for real broken. Oh my fucking God, dude!
That's early on too. Well, plus it's a dead kid just sitting there too. It's not just his fingers are fucked. It's and the kid's dead too.
The throat slits are all work really really well. It is a shockingly good gore fest.
Shockingly good. I'm sorry.
I didn't mean it. I can't. I didn't mean it. I can't take credit for that. I didn't mean it. They didn't mean it.
Too bad. You said it. It had to be said.
That being said, with all of the good gore, hands missing fingers, and the kills, all of them being fairly well done. Yeah. But even the explosion effect, really, all the practical effects are really real well done. This movie is filled, I say, with 1989 special effects.
Oh yeah, a lot of them.
To the brim. Some of them bad, but successful. Some of them bad, but incredibly unsuccessful. And one of my favorites is one of the first ones where, so plot-wise, right, you've all watched, so you know what I'm talking about, but Jonathan's girlfriend gets murdered by Horace in the first third.
Brutally,
right?
too.
Brutally. And, again, really scary and really fucked up, right? Again, this first third is, the most honest version of this movie, right? And she comes in as a ghost throughout this entire movie. And the first time she shows up as a ghost, she still shows up as more like a corpse ghost, how she died type ghost. So it's really cool, right?
She has the "I'm so cold, Jonathan" thing. It's really
amazing,
creepy. Yeah,
amazing, right? And she kind of is backing Jonathan up, and eventually pushes him onto the waterbed. But the waterbed turns into water,
yeah,
and then it falls in, but it looks terrible. It looks like absolute dog shit.
Yeah,
it's very funny. It's very bad.
It's an effect that I want to work. It's one of those effects where you see it and you go, yeah, I get it. It's a waterbed. Yeah. Maybe should have just pushed him in a thing of water.
Yeah,
and
probably should have just made it practical. Yeah.
For me, the ones that always bugged me is near the end of the film, Horace's outline is just constantly translucent. This
they decide randomly whether or not he whether or not he is actually a TV ghost or fully corporeal. There's no consistency there. No,
which,
dude.
Again, it has to be intentional.
It has to be. Because I was man, this is pretty bad. But now that, now I'm man, this feels I was fully willing to write this as so bad it's good. But I really think that this is
it's getting better and better on its own merits.
I wasn't expecting to talk myself into it. I was expecting to talk you into a Bobby 1.5, but I don't even know if it is. I don't. I think it might be something else.
Yeah, I don't know.
And cause the music starts out like subtle and eerie and creepy, but by the third act too, it's full thrash metal.
Yeah,
like, is this like a Blood Diner where it's like this has to be fully intentional? Is this another Blood Diner? Should we have watched this with Corbin?
Well, yes, but we didn't.
We didn't.
And he didn't send in a score either.
No, he didn't.
He said he would, listeners. You can blame him
for that.
He lied to you.
He lied to you.
He did. Now, Bobby, I'm not a fan of lies.
No.
But you know what I am a fan of?
Scoring?
Scoring movies on a scale of 0 to 5 with half points allowed. I'm a big fan of that. That's a good one.
Yeah, me too.
Do you want me to go first, or you go first?
I need you to go first. I don't know when I want to write this yet. Yeah.
Okay. I came in. I watched this last night after we did the raid. It was great. I have written down 1 out of 5. Straight up. That was what I had written down. Now, that was after me going, this was so bad it's bad. Like, was kind of my decision. Like,
yeah.
I was kind of firmly in that camp. But, like, it's Wes Craven. It's very funny. The man understands the genre better than most, I think, in a way that is unique to his vision and how he sees horror. So I don't think the things that I think are bad are I don't think all of them are just bad on their own merits, but rather like a grand exercise in satire of his own content, of the own movies of the time. Because even think about it too, like it's 1989. We're near the end of this heyday of 80s slashers, and all of them at this point have jumped the shark so hard. All of them have. None of them are even remotely in the realm of believability at this point.
Some of them are still relatively considered good at this point.
Sure.
Right? Early 90s is when it really falls apart, but yeah, no, I agree with you entirely.
I'm going to give it a full 2 more points, and I'm going to call it a 3 out of 5, because I think it is above the average, like the average of the time. I think this movie is smart in ways that I had no clue that it would be. I think this movie is hilarious in ways I thought and didn't think. It's smart. I think that's kind of my general thesis. This movie's smart. It's a very smart, dumb movie. Maybe the smartest dumb movie I think I've ever seen. 3 out of 5.
I did not expect that I would ever call the movie Shocker smart. But I agree with you entirely, Alan. I think we might have stumbled into something that the late Wes Craven, if he had been like, was this like meant to be like a satire on A Nightmare on Elm Street? He'd go, well, yeah, no one's ever really asked me that, but yeah, of course. Like, I don't get how nobody saw how obvious this was.
Why did no one pick up on this at the time?
Like, considering he did Scream right after, like, not right after, but Scream shortly after, right? Like, well, or not shortly, but you know what I mean. Like this movie is like, people could say like this is like a miss for Wes Craven, but I don't think it is. And there are movies that are like more misses than not. Like, again, we talked about The Hills Have Eyes. The Hills Have Eyes is fine, but it's not. You know, does it live up to the hype? I don't know, right? I'm not sure, right? But like this movie, it feels smarter. So I'm also, as you guys heard, Bobby 1.5. I'm also up 2 full points. I'm going to give this a 3.5 out of 5. I really, really enjoyed this. I will watch it again. This kind of is going to sit there with Blood Diner with me as one of those types of movies where it's like it's like Blood Diner, this, The Exorcist 3 are like those like movies that you go like, yeah, you like horror. You like horror? You should check these flicks out. They're really fucking weird and cool. Like,
it's definitely in that echelon of film where if you understand, the more you understand the genre, the more you're going to get out of this film. You will absolutely have more to enjoy by knowing, if you understand what the satire is really pointing at. It helps with anything that's satirical. Like, if you get the joke, you get the joke. But I think it's like just cranked up with this one in particular.
It's only taken 89 episodes, but Alan is no longer. I'm new to this guy, right? Alan gets to say Alan is now the.
I had to drop the act at some point.
89 episodes into a horror movie podcast, which means you've watched at least 89 horror movies on top of all the other ones from the old show. Yeah. We're done. We're done.
Yeah. I cannot have that. I cannot feign that ignorance anymore.
You're still the newest guy, but you're not that far away from me anymore. That's not all we do on this horror movie podcast. We also decide whether or not the movie, and again, Spider-Man villain, shocker, is essential to horror as a whole. Now, dear listener, of course you know this at this point because you're listening to a Corbin-free episode, that this is a spoiler-free portion of the film. And while Alan gave it probably the correct score of a 3 out of 5, I gave it the Bobby Fields score of a 3.5 out of 5. Now, spoiler-free, would you like to go, Alan, or shall I?
You take it.
Yeah. So, we mentioned several times a fan favorite and podcast host favorite, Blood Diner, in this movie. And the person who recommended Blood Diner sent me DMs afterwards, telling me that while it was a great episode and they loved it, and this is not fake, said that we were cowards for not making Blood Diner an essential scares flick. That might be something that we have to kind of readdress during our 100th episode review spectacular.
Okay.
That being said, just because this is close, does Shocker hit the criteria of essential? And the answer is no. I don't think so. I'm going to sit with this for the next 10 episodes, and I might change my mind. I don't feel confident about this, no. But the fact that I had to Google Nightmare on Elm Street ripoffs to even discover this movie's existence, does tell me something about how this movie has been remembered in horror history.
Yeah.
And while I think this movie is a lot smarter than anybody gives it even the remote credit for, is it an essential scare? Probably not. So I'm gonna stick with the no for now.
I think this movie is the epitome of the third time they do In Search of Darkness 80s edition, and they come around to 1989 and someone goes, do you guys remember that movie, Shocker? That's going to be what this movie is, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is, no, I don't think it is. I think it definitely has potential to be one of those, like, remembering obscure films, and people go, you know, there might actually been something with this film. I think it has the potential to have like a resurgence, but even if it had that same resurgence, I still don't think it would really get that extra boost it would need to really be like, you know, this is in the consciousness. This is something that most people know. This feels like a great diamond in the rough, you know?
Yeah.
It's one of those films where if you know someone's tastes well, this is probably a phenomenal movie to just pull out and be like, look, you want some? I know what you
Shocker.
Like. Yeah,
I know what you like.
And they're gonna look at you like, what the fuck did you just say? What? But they just trust me. Just watch Shocker.
You fucking sick pervert. You're gonna watch it and you're gonna love every goddamn second of Shocker.
Exactly. Yeah. So it I wish it could be, but I just don't think it. I don't think it really even can be at this point in time, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Spider-Man Total Carnage, where's your handle? Where can we find you?
What a great game, by the way.
Oh,
Red. Yeah, that's the red cartridge SNES game, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I had to think for a second.
Yeah. I was also
I had the
thinking
PlayStation
Spider-Man.
growing up.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. The Spider-Man, the video game, is the one I'm thinking of. Where at the end it's Carnage Doc Ock, and it's super
it's so
fucking
good.
sick.
Yes,
Amazing.
Yes. And
Yeah.
like, there's those great end state cutscenes that can happen in that sequence of that game. Oh,
so good.
You can find me at a seal punter just about anywhere. I haven't been doing a whole lot lately. I've got a lot of Warhammer to build. I do also have some prep to do around the house because Super Saturday and Whiskey Night is coming down to Indiana here in about just over 2 months. So I've got to get a secret prepared. Yeah, I can't tell you, but there's a secret of brewing. We'll get to that. You'll see when you come down. But yeah, I don't have a lot going on. Probably going to be a bunch of disc golf photos here soon because it's nice out and the weather is great, and more Warhammer. A seal punter.
You can find me at twitch.tv/theredweenie, where I have been playing Destiny. I might be streaming COD with my brothers every so now and again because they like Warzone. We play a lot of COD and Overwatch together. Besides those couple things, honestly, I have not been up to much either. Me and my wife are trying to get the windows in our house redone. So, and we recently got it all kind of figured out contract-wise and stuff like that. But the last week has been talking to window people. And if you're one of our listeners who are a window salesman, chill the fuck out. Just chill the fuck out. You don't need to go into super detail. We picked, you know who we ended up going with? We ended up going with the guy whose presentation was 5 minutes long. All right? The first guy was 3 hours. 5 minutes to 3 hours. Yeah.
How dare that man take up that much of your time? That's offensive.
I'm
mad for you.
We signed a contract with him and then canceled it later because he would not leave otherwise. Right? So, like, yeah. Oh, yeah. Listen, we went with the guy who was within the price, he's like, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to talk to you. I'm going to tell you what the price is. You tell me nothing about these last guys. I'm going to tell you what the price we're going to go at. I promise you, I cannot make any wiggle room because I'm giving you the best price I possibly can. If anybody has gone underneath that price, they're lying to you. And I was like, okay. And then he shortchanged everybody else by like $3,000. So like,
perfect.
I was like, okay, sick, right? I went with the guy who I probably disagree with the most politically, who spent a non-zero portion of his time complaining about his own children who were our age because they were not homeowners and were bleeding him dry financially.
Oh, jeez.
And honestly, I'd go with him again. See, like he gave me a good price, and we're moving along at a clip at this point. Buying windows sucks, and this is Bert's old man corner ending now. Twitch.tv/theredweenie for more cool Bobby content and far less Bert content.
It's funny you mentioned that. I got my mail just before coming back here to record, and in my mailbox was like, we're doing estimate on window replacements. Dear listeners, I built my house in 2018. This is the worst place you could come to sell fucking windows to.
Potentially not. Builder grade windows apparently suck ass. I learned that in my 3-hour presentation.
I don't doubt that, but here's the thing. I'm not replacing them. I'm not doing that. That is second, third homeowner's problem to deal with. I built my house in this. My house is built in the 70s. I need these. It's time for you to have new windows. Yeah, that's just unfortunate, but it is what it is. Listeners, you can also find the podcast anywhere that you look for podcasts. Podcast services like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean. We're all over the damn place. You can find the podcast itself, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can find Corbin on Mastodon. He's the only one who really uses that platform, but it's there, where we talk about all sorts of stuff. And you can always join the Discord. Link is always in the bio. Come hang out, talk with us, tell us what's going on. You know, we're always down to take suggestions, new franchises, all sorts of stuff. But that'll just about wrap up the show. Next week, we're gonna have Corbin back. He's gonna give us his brief review on Shocker. He doesn't know this yet, but it's coming. He's gonna let us know.
Oh yeah,
he's got to tell us about Shocker.
We're not
letting him.
Once this episode's over, we're gonna both call him simultaneously
100%.
on FaceTime.
We're gonna assault him.
Him.
Yep. Yeah. It's how it has to be.
Yeah.
But we're gonna bring it back around to Nightmare and hit up with A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, Dream Warriors. I've been your host, Corbin. Corbin! Oh my god! No! Alan! And this has been Essential Scares.
Play that Corbin, baby!
You're saying 8, 9 times, and I just